So when you look at this, what we've seen is you can go all the way back to 1962 when the Supreme Court weaponized the federal government against Christianity, against religion. When they pulled prayer out of public schools, what they did was they started targeting our kids, our teachers, and frankly, our entire faith system, our society. And what we've seen since 1962 is moral decay. Our societies have been broken apart. Families have been broken apart. They want no mention of God, no mention of religious beliefs. It's outrageous, and we're not going to stand for it. But the country, we've got to continue to fight back and not allow radical left-wing groups to weaponize lawsuits, to weaponize the legal system, to try to fight back against the values this country was founded on.
Superintendent of Public Schools in Oklahoma is confused about public versus private religious schools. He thinks that if everyone doesn't believe in his religion, that they should be forced to follow it anyway, and he's targeting your children. In fact, any school that doesn't help force Christianity is of the devil.
Today we see Prague Public Schools backing down to a radical atheist group. You know, we're going to continue to fight for religious liberty and religious freedom here in the state of Oklahoma. What we've seen is a group that's funded by George Soros, that is atheist, that is from out of state, has come in and targeted children that are initiating prayer in Prague Public Schools. But, you know, just as bad, we have Prague Public Schools bowing down to these bullies and telling their students that they're not going to allow them to initiate prayer anymore. It's outrageous. We have to take a stand for our students' freedom of religion, their freedom to express their religious beliefs, no matter what those religious beliefs may be. So what we've got to do is we've got to tell groups like the Freedom from Religion group, like the ACLU, we will never back down to your bullying antics. We will not allow atheism to be the state-sponsored religion of our school system. Not here in Oklahoma. You guys need to leave our kids alone.
He says he's fighting for religious freedom and religious liberty in his schools. And when radical Christians like him say religious freedom, they mean forced Christianity. And when he says students initiated prayer, he means the school was caught making students participate in Christian prayer. From News 4. The fallout comes after News 4 talked to parents upset their children had been going to Bible study and prayer was being done over the intercom. Both actions the Freedom from Religion Foundation says are unconstitutional. The problem here is that the prayers are being broadcast over the public address system, so all students will be basically forced to at least hear the prayers, is what Jeremy Tillman, a law professor at Oklahoma City University, said. And there's even more that Walters is hiding in his obsession with other people's kids. Parents in Prague are upset after finding out that their kids have been going to Bible studies at school, given Bibles, and have had a morning prayer over the intercom the past couple of weeks at Prague Elementary School. There are kids who are either getting picked on or bullied because they don't believe these things and aren't choosing to be a part of these Bible studies, said one parent who wanted to remain anonymous. From how I understand it, is that kids went to the guidance counselor and the counselor helped organize it and get it going, but the kids had to lead it. It's a loophole in the law. According to the parent, the guidance counselor called a local Bible school teacher to organize certain events. The parent also said that the principal was involved in the Bible studies as well, but that the students were the ones who led them. Sadly, part of his strategy in wanting to involve himself in your kids' lives is to list scary-sounding books that aren't being read over the intercom on a daily basis and not being sent home with the help of the school counselor and principal.
And they actually prefer to push books like the Constitution and the Bible out of our schools while injecting books like Genderqueer and Flamer. It's outrageous. They are Marxists at their core. That is their fundamental principles in which that guides them. And we are tired of them intimidating teachers, fighting school choice, and fighting parents, and we are absolutely going to fight back.
Walters also mentioned nefarious fundamental principles, which he claims guides his opponents, making it clear that his principles for your children are based in God. That is, unless oil and gas companies are giving him money, who curiously outweigh all that God talk suddenly.
Your testimony focuses a lot on the influence of outside funding in our education system and how that undermines our public school system. It talks about the global influence, but little questions about consistency here. Would you say it is a conflict of interest to have oil and gas fracking entities and industry dictate education curriculum on the environment in your schools? Yes or no?
These are American companies that are a benefit to American economy, so I don't see any issue with them having influence on our education system.
But that's okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
they're a benefit to American society.
No, I'm just looking for consistency,
Okay.
my friend.
Representative Grijalva went looking for that consistency and was unable to find any with the superintendent.
Are you aware that PragerU, the non-accredited education site for which you just announced a partnership, has received millions of dollars from from oil and gas interests, and that's okay?
They promote American values and support our history without
Okay.
indoctrination. Yes, sir.
Which leads me to the question. About, do you think public dollars should go to private entities without any transparency, without any oversight?
I think taxpayer dollars should follow a child to where the parent chooses to send a child. So I believe parents know best for kids.
What about the oversight and accountability for those dollars?
There's no better oversight than a parent having the ability to choose the school for their child. They are the best accountability officer for our children.
When conservatives say there's no better oversight than parents, they assume parents agree with them. But when moms and dads choose to send their kids to schools that don't force Christianity and the economic interests of the oil and gas companies on their kids, Superintendent Ryan Walters doesn't think those parents count because he wants to control those kids. And he wants you to foot the bill.
Yesterday, we became the first state in the country to pass a religious charter school. And I wanted to talk a little bit this morning about why I believed it was so important and why we moved forward as a state to have the first religious charter school. Number one is freedom of religion. It is incredibly important that our religious institutions, our churches, aren't oppressed by government and are given the freedom to grow and exercise their faith and their religious beliefs. And again, we think it's a huge benefit to society to have religious institutions and churches trying to improve society around them and our kids and our schools and our education system.